Thought is essentially a vibration. So it is basically, if you think of radio waves, similar to that, except it's a similar concept. If you imagine a radio wave being emitted, you just send a thought out, and of course it is perceived.
Yeah.
And that works both ways as well. It can work on the earth plane, but you need to know and harness how to access it so that both parties can both send and receive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But of course, in the spirit, you do not have that issue. Thought is sent and received exactly as you would like it to be. Exactly as you send a thought, it is received by the other person. And it does not matter how far away that person is. Time is of no, space is of no consequence.
Yeah.
It can travel vast distances. That does not matter. Now, when we get into, I know, young man, you mentioned about Akashic records.
Yeah.
That comes into the realms of the soul's evolution, which pertains to each individual soul, of course, and their progress thus far, and all the lives they have lived, etc., etc. Now, it becomes very complex in some ways. You perceive a lot more with the mind.
Yes. Yeah.
When you are in spirit. It is difficult to understand for those still on the earth plane the full reality of what thought can actually achieve and do. Because its reach is far more in depth and far more capable than people realize.
Yeah.
And this can only really be understood once you are in spirit, you understand.
Yes.
But most of the extra senses will come from that.
Right.
You perceive a lot more, you sense a lot more. So you know when you are standing in a room. And I guess you would say that you would perceive this with your sixth sense. But you know, as if you have that feeling that someone is standing with you.
Yes.
You cannot see them physically.
Yeah.
But you know they are there.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It is that kind of thing. Except much more intense. And of course you get far more information because your thought is much more I'm trying to think of the right word here. Much more intense or clearer, I guess, than on the earth plane. So you would get much more in-depth information from the slightest inkling of senses in the spirit world.
Yeah.
And of course, you sense a lot more from the person's aura. There is nothing to hide the soul up in the spirit world or on the spiritual planes, as you know.
Yeah.
So therefore, everything is on vibration, and that vibration alone has a lot of information, which in turn others can pick up on. That is the closest way I can understand it.
Yeah.
Does that help?
It does help. No, thank you very much.
Being honest, there are even some of us that don't necessarily understand the mechanics of how these things work.
Yeah.
There are some things that you know just are.
Yeah.
And you accept them just as they are.
Exactly.
We do not necessarily, but sometimes, of course, that is because we are not ready to know.
Yes.
Even those of us that come down to help and give you information and guide in these things, even we may not have that understanding. There are still those in spirit higher than us that may have greater understanding. if that makes
I
sense.
understand, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But some things must be taken just as they
As
are.
they are.